The news at noon starts right now.
And we are going to start in Uvalde, a packed commissioner's courtroom in the Uvalde County Courthouse. For the first time since the election, they are meeting today. Many eyes on Lieutenant Mariano Pargas, who was reelected as the Uvalde County Commissioner for Precinct 2, winning last week's election with a 45% of the vote.
Pargas beat 3 write-in challengers, including Javier Casares, whose daughter was killed in the Robb Elementary shooting. Alicia Barrera is live outside of the Uvalde County Courthouse. So, Alicia, there was a lot of speculation that Lieutenant Pargas would not show up for the meeting today.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. He was a no-show. This meeting started right at 10 a.m. with one of those empty seats. And we were, however, told by some of the community members who were around the courthouse that they did spot Pargas walking around here, or at least in his vehicle. However, during that entire meeting, a no-show. His seat stayed empty. At least 5 people did sign up to speak, and really the focus was on item number 3 on the agenda, which was to consider and act upon the canvass of the November 8th election results. Some saying that the 45% of votes that Lieutenant Vargas was able to obtain aren't enough to prove that the majority of the community really wants him to keep his role, especially after the report from CNN. Family members of the victims and community members questioning Lieutenant Pargas' character, decision-making skills, and leadership ability after that report, which shows that Pargas knew about children who were possibly still alive in the classroom as the gunman remained holed up for 77 minutes. Here's what Gladys Gonzalez, mother of Caitlin Gonzalez, had to say.
His poor judgment and lack thereof has caused 21 victims and countless survivors with a lifetime trauma that they will have to endure. You, sir, walked out on my daughter and the rest of her classmates. Mariano Pargas, you are not worthy of this title. I'm not asking, I am demanding that you step down as county commissioner. Thank you.
To step down, that's what they're asking for. And we did speak to the county judge, William Mitchell. He says he was made aware that Lieutenant Pargas would likely not show up today. And about his absence, he said Pargas, or really any county commissioner, isn't required to attend any meeting, and that's in accordance to the state statute. And although Pargas wasn't present today, there was another top law enforcement official present today. He was in the crowd for a brief moment, and that was Uvalde County Sheriff Ruben Nolasco. We did have some words with him, but that encounter did get heated, and we'll have that report for you at 5 and 6. Reporting live in Uvalde, Alicia Barrera, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you so much. Now, the doctor who did the first examination of an injured 4-month-old child explaining to jurors today that the bruises caused him concern. The boy's father, Terrence Harper, now facing a charge of injury to a child. This morning, the doctor who examines possibly abused children showed several areas of bruising that alerted him that the child had been harmed. Harper is facing up to life in prison if found guilty. He is also separately facing a capital murder charge for another child who died in his care. Later on today, Eric Hernandez is going to go into detail why the doctor's assessment pointed to abuse.
New this noon, still a lot of unanswered questions after a man died following a crash on the east side. Police say it happened last night on Rigsby Avenue near 410. According to officers, the man may have been hit by a driver in an 18-wheeler. We're told he was found dead in the street. Right now, it's not clear exactly what happened.
Bexar County Commissioner's Court taking a stand against the state's abortion ban after a fetal heartbeat is detected. The court passing a resolution 4-1 in favor of limiting local enforcement of that state law. It also calls for no county resources to be used to report abortion-related crimes. And it asks officials to deprioritize criminal enforcement of such laws. The commissioners joined several other local leaders, in taking a stand against the state. The resolution, similar to one that was passed in July by City Council. And recently re-elected DA Joe Gonzalez already announcing in July that he will not prosecute abortion crimes.
Outside with live cam, another one of those chilly but very pretty and pleasant days.
Yeah, the blue skies are out right now. Don't get too used to that, though, because we're going to see a lot more clouds going forward. It's a pretty gray forecast, and I was just looking at some of the new models coming in. Saturday looks pretty cold. We'll get to that in just a bit. First, let's start with what's going on right now And we noticed that we've got a pretty significant round of high clouds down to our south, and then some clouds to our north as well. We're kind of sandwiched in between, where we are seeing some sun, making for, so far, a nice afternoon. That rain and a little bit of snow you see there in the Texas Panhandle likely not reaching the ground. Still a little bit too dry at the surface. But we're going to watch more of these high clouds work through today. So it'll be off and on, but we'll call it partly cloudy. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now. Temperatures 54 degrees at the airport, 50 Burning Stage, 54 Comfort, 56 Hondo, 49 still in Seguin, and 51 down there in Pleasanton. Here's a look at the weather headlines as we look at some of those high clouds there off to the south. Great forecast, as I said, going forward, especially as we get into the weekend and early next week. It's going to stay cool, below average temperatures through Tuesday. We still do have some very small rain chances. Saturday looks like we could see a few showers, and as I said, it's going to be fairly cold. We'll take a look at that forecast here in just a few minutes, guys.
Thank you, Justin. We are inching our way closer and closer to Thanksgiving, and one particular organization is making sure our first responders have a nice and plump turkey to cut into this year.
Generations Federal Credit Union employees delivering Thanksgiving food items to more than 50 San Antonio fire stations and for their families. As for Jonathan Cotto, he shows us why that credit union is singling out the people who keep our community safe through the holidays.
Number are you? Number 3. Okay. Thank you. 3 hams, 3 turkeys.
This is our 10th annual Turkey Express event. We're super excited to be out here on this brisk morning. Organize an effort amongst our team to go out and show some appreciation for our firefighters in and around San Antonio.
Today's effort, an expression of gratitude for the generations of families that have dedicated their lives to serving the community. More than 50 GFCU team members delivering complete holiday meals consisting of turkeys, hams, and apple pies to 56 San Antonio fire stations.
Easily forgotten this time of year, the sacrifice that our first responders make in terms of time with their families in order to have us feel safe and protected and enjoy that time with our families. So, and firefighters love to cook.
And once they start cooking, we will surely smell it. The first stop in the 10th annual Turkey Express is our next door neighbors, fire station number 4. And the firefighters here say it's a gesture they greatly appreciate.
And the importance of having turkeys for our firefighters at the station to help us out on those days is so important because we're still running calls. We're still taking care of the people that call us every single day. For us to be able to come back and have a meal with our work family is so important. And so I can't thank Generations enough for their generosity.
For Assistant Fire Chief O'Neill, GFCU's Turkey Express effort is one that hits close to home. His family serving the San Antonio department for more than 80 years.
We grew up with Generations back before it was called Generations Credit Union. I grew up as a firefighter in a firefighter family and know what that means. On holidays, we had trouble getting together on holidays because either my dad was working or my uncle was working or whatever. So we have so many family members in it that it was really difficult. So I understand the struggle of our firefighters during the holiday season.
Jonathan Cotto, KSAT 12 News.
Well, on behalf of
Members of a small hill country church are trying to do some pretty big things. The big job for Centerpoint United Methodist Church includes refurbishing all 27 of its beautiful stained glass windows.
The windows, more than 100 years old, they've clouded over a little. The congregation has to pay an expert to do the work, which involves taking apart each window piece by piece, then restoring them to their original beauty.
The glass is just the medium. It's the light of God that comes through and is glorified. And you have to just believe it.
Their faith is especially important when it comes to finishing this big job. Katrina Weber is going to show you why coming up tonight at 6. NASA says it's the most powerful rocket in the world, and it's finally on its way to the moon. And even though it's days away from its destination, we're already getting some incredible views from space.
And some heavy hitters taking over the San Antonio missions. We're not talking about batters, we're talking about owners. Larry Ramirez with more on the sale coming up in sports.
The biggest mariachi competition in Texas set to take place this week in San Antonio. How some local students feel about taking part in this after the break.
Hundreds of students from across the country and San Antonio will be participating in the largest mariachi festival in Texas this week.
Tiffany Huerta shows us how mariachi music is bringing people together and how it's changed these students' lives.
Jessica Halili has a passion for mariachi music.
I feel like I can express everything, especially my emotions.
Las Vegas high school student and her school's mariachi group traveled to San Antonio to participate in the 28th annual Mariachi Extravaganza. Preparations are underway at the Lila Cockrell Theater.
I feel excited, a little nervous, like the nervous jitters, but I think we're gonna rock the house. So hopefully this year it's on our side.
The next 2 days, on Thursday and Friday, we're hosting 3 national competitions. Now, these are the largest, longest running, and most competitive competitions in the country, and these students have been practicing for months.
Students from across the country will be participating at this year's festival, including Mariachi Los Paisanos from UTSA.
I am a music education major at UTSA. Go Runners! And it is such an honor, and I am so grateful to represent all of the San Antonio community and all of UTSA at this year's national vocal competition.
UTSA student Osvaldo Chacon started singing mariachi when he was 5 years old and looks forward to sharing his love for mariachi with the community.
It is a part of who I am as a person. I grew up with mariachi music. It's what I sing, it's what I feel, and it's my everything.
Tiffany Huertas, KSAT 12 News.
Tonight at 5 o'clock, you can catch a public performance at the Shops at River Center.
If you'd like for more information, visit KSAT.com. I'm just always amazed at the talent of these young people.
Incredible musicians and singers. Incredible weather as well. It feels like January, but no, you're right. It's not even Thanksgiving yet.
We've been below average for a couple days now. We're going to keep that stretch going. So some more cool weather on the way. If you're a fan, we've got a lot of it in the 7-day forecast. The aquifer is up 0.2 of a foot to 635.3 today, and your pollen count's just mold. And it's low, actually, not moderate, at 250. We'll talk more about the weekend forecast and look ahead also to next week. I know we got a lot of plans going on. What does it look like? The latest coming up.
The unmanned Artemis I rocket finally able to blast off today.
ABC's Gio Benitez explains how it's on a trip to bring us back to the moon.
3, 2, 1. Overnight, after 3 delays since August, a major breakthrough in space exploration. We rise together, back to the moon and beyond. The most powerful rocket in the world, the Space Launch System, propelling the Orion capsule toward the moon with 8.8 million pounds of thrust. Orion already feeding back stunning images of the Earth from space. It'll spend 26 days getting to the moon, orbiting it, then returning to Earth, splashing down off the coast of San Diego on December 11th. Launch director Charlie Blackwell Thompson, the first female launch director, taking in the moment.
On behalf of all the men and women across our great nation who have worked to bring this hardware together to make this day possible, and for the Artemis generation, this is for you.
Many this morning believe that Artemis generation can change the world.
This is the first step, this test mission, to put the first woman, the first person of color on the moon, on the next missions. And so, the world will never be the same.
And while there's so much research to do on the moon, the goal is to eventually use the moon as a sort of layover spot so humans can go farther and farther into the universe. Gio Benitez, ABC News at the Kennedy Space Center.
Space travel is always very interesting.
Yes.
Justin, you said you wouldn't go, right, to the moon? Or
Not yet.
Not yet?
Not yet. I'm going to let some people check it out first.
That's like that's like nightmare stuff for me.
Oh, you've seen the movies.
No.
You've seen the movies, exactly. Worst
they could
way to
invite
go.
me today, and I'd be on a rocket tomorrow.
Really?
Yeah. Are you kidding me?
Come on, Justin, let's book it.
David's going to the moon.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Get him a seat.
Well, one thing we know for sure is that we're seeing some nice weather today, other than the cool temperatures. It is down in the 50s, but it'll moderate pretty nicely this afternoon. It'll be pretty similar to yesterday, in fact. And we're seeing some of those clouds working their way through at this hour. Most of the heavy cloud cover, the thicker cloud cover is off to our south. So let's look at the picture here on our current setup. And the thicker clouds are down there across South Texas. We've got some very light returns up across parts of the Texas Panhandle. This is, as I said earlier, probably not reaching the ground. So we're not worried too much about that. And as you look at San Antonio, we're kind of right in between two decks of high clouds. This one appears pretty thin. This is a little thicker down here. But regardless, sun is out, and that's allowing for a pretty nice day. Let's look at the numbers. 55 in Uvalde, 53 Del Rio, 51 in Pleasanton. Cotulla, one of our normal hotspots, is now one of the cooler places, and that's because they're underneath that deck of high clouds. Clouds make a big difference this time of year when it comes to temperatures. So that's why we have the temperatures and clouds here together. 53 in New Braunfels, 51 right now in Gonzales and around Bexar County. Mainly low to mid 50s. And we should warm a few more degrees before it's all said and done. There's the scene outside, and you can see that deck of clouds to the south. 54. Dew point is at 29 and falling with northeasterly winds at 13. We had wind chills throughout much of the morning. Those have since gone away. Let's talk about November. We started out the month pretty warm, above average all the way through the 11th. And then when the 12th hit, we got a cold front, and it's been cold ever since through today. And then we project that will be below average going into next week through Tuesday. So it's kind of night and day there. We are still technically, if you average it all out, 3.3 degrees above average. But I think as we add in some of these cooler days ahead, we'll start to trend below average. Interesting considering the summer was so incredibly warm. We'll see how the year in general averages out here by next month. Your KSAT 12-hour forecast, 55 at 2 o'clock, 56 by 3 p.m. Partly cloudy skies going into tonight, 52 at the 7 o'clock hour. And then overnight, we fall back down into the 40s. It'll be a chilly start again tomorrow. As far as rain and cloud cover is concerned, yeah, partly cloudy today. And then tomorrow, we'll start to see the clouds kind of increase again, especially tomorrow morning. And that's where we could see a sprinkle or two. This computer model shows 1 or 2 very light showers down to the south and east of San Antonio. It's not going to be much, if anything at all. And then as we go forward in time, maybe a little bit of sun tomorrow. And then by Friday, the clouds really start to increase. It becomes overcast. We could see a few showers by Friday afternoon, very light showers, but showers nonetheless. And then by Saturday, our rain chances actually go up a little bit more. On Saturday, if you're planning out your weekend, highs in the 40s. And at this point, we may be talking mid 40s. Light showers are in the forecast, about a 30% chance, and there could even be a little bit of wintry weather, light wintry weather across north central Texas. Rain starts to wind down a little bit by Saturday afternoon. Sunday's probably more of a mostly cloudy day, but highs are still in the 50s. So as I said, this is a stretch of some pretty cool weather. We've got a lot of dry air in place too, which keeps any precipitation chance really light. 59 Thursday, 55 Friday, 45 for high on Saturday, 30% chance of showers, 53 Sunday. And then more chances of showers Monday and Tuesday. Next week, we see a little bit of a warming trend as we head towards Thanksgiving. The question will be rain chances, and as we get a little bit closer, we'll be able to hone in on that forecast.
All right, Justin, thank you.
Time for the fireplace to get
Yeah,
cranked up.
for
That's
sure.
fireplace weather. You got to give the Spurs credit after getting blown out by Golden State. At least they showed up last night in Portland.
Yeah, but it's true, but they had just too many turnovers, particularly down the stretch, to beat the Blazers last night. How about Jakob Poeltl? He is a double machine, and last night he dropped a career high on the Blazers, but it didn't help. Plus, San Antonio FC, well, they got wet and crazy last night during their championship celebration. Coming up.
San Antonio, Texas, your 2022 USL champions!
San Antonio FC held a championship party on the Riverwalk last night in Big Board Sports. Poppin' as Spurs played at the Trailblazers last night. We pick it up in the fourth quarter. Keldon Johnson misses, but Jakob Poeltl tips it in, and the Spurs lead 106-100. Jak had a career-high 31 points and 14 boards. Later on, former Spur Drew Eubanks gets the hoop and foul on Jakob. Free throw was good, and the Blazers lead by 1. Less than 3:30 left in the game now, and Damian Lillard hits a 29-foot step-back three, putting the Blazers on top 110-106. And Portland hangs on to win this one 117-110, handing San Antonio its second straight loss.
Yeah, it's tough because we felt like we had that game, we just couldn't close it out. we kind of gave them momentum in the fourth quarter, and they took advantage of it. They ran away with it, got the crowd behind them, and it feels like we didn't have a response for it.
He's super aggressive. And, it was just attacking all night. And took advantage of, the way they're guarding him. When he's aggressive like that, he's tough to stop. So it's been great, and I think we're going to see a lot more of that throughout the year.
Up next, the Spurs will play the Sacramento Kings tomorrow night at 9, a local time. Now, Terrence Davis scored 31 points off the bench and sparked a big second quarter run that helped the Sacramento Kings race past the New Jersey Nets 153-121 last night for their fourth straight win. The Kings had their highest scoring game in nearly 30 years. Sacramento has won 7 of 9 following an 0-4 start to Coach Mike Brown's first season. Actually, I meant the Brooklyn Nets. San Antonio FC's celebration for winning their first ever United Soccer League championship continued last night in true Spurs style with their own river parade. Fans were encouraged to gather at the Arneson River Theater as SAFC made their way down the river with the trophy to meet up with their fans along the San Antonio River Walk. And they got to do it with the backdrop of all the Christmas lights.
It just means the world that everyone came out and showed their support for us just like they did in the final. And we're going to do it again next year because this was no accident. I love this group. Everyone believes in this group. And the mentality monsters are here to stay. It's just the beginning.
After all the speeches, some of the players decided to go for a swim by jumping in the river with the trophy. Designated Bidders LLC, a group formed by local San Antonio business executives, has agreed to acquire the San Antonio Missions from longtime franchise owner Dave Elmore and the Elmore Group. The new Missions ownership group include Bruce Hill, Randy Smith, Bob Cohen, Graham Weston, Spurs legends and basketball Hall of Famers David Robinson and family, and Manu Ginobili, plus Peter J. Holt, along with numerous San Antonio civic leaders. Now, Ryan Sanders Baseball, owned by the families of Major League Baseball Hall of Famer native Texan Nolan Ryan, CEO Reed Ryan, and Don Sanders will join designated bidders as owners and operators of the San Antonio Missions. That's a big get right there.
Man, that's some big names.
Right?
A lot of names.
Yep.
David and Manu. Mm-hmm. Manu gonna learn how to throw a fastball.
How cool is that?
Wing went up there about 99.
Probably. He's a great athlete.
You're right.
Thanks, Larry.
Cases of hepatitis C, they're on the rise. However, it's a disease that can be cured with medication. However, most patients can't get it. We're going to take a look at the hurdles ahead in the next half hour.